Welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast, and today we're going to take a look at Die Hard with a Smackdown, aka Skyscraper, written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thuber, who has done actually two movies that have like Dodgeball, We're the Millers, and he had also done Central Intelligence, where he started working with The Rock. It stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I do mean The Rock, and Nev Campbell, and Pablo Schreiber, and the synopsis is very brief. A father goes to great lengths to save his family from a burning skyscraper. Setup for this is that The Rock was a FBI agent. At some point, he was doing a breach entry. A guy exploded a bomb on him. He lost the use of his leg. Then it goes to talk about this skyscraper being built in China, that is the tallest skyscraper in the world, and he's doing security for that skyscraper. Criminals show up, and that's kind of where the movie starts to take off. And Keith, what is your view on Skyscraper?
Yes. I got some things to say about this movie. First of all, I'm a fan of Dwayne Johnson's work. I appreciate the effort he puts into his roles and everything, even though he's kind of the same character. He's embraced the fact that he's never going to win an Oscar for his thespianhood or whatever the fuck you want to call it. He knows his market, he goes for it, and he does it well. So this was sort of Die Hard meets Towering Inferno, but more family-oriented. Flat out action, not a whole lot of gunplay or cursing, blood, violence, that type of thing. And for the most part, I liked the premise and I liked some of the stuff going on. I mean, Dwayne Johnson does a good job. The way he moved with the prosthetic leg. I've known many persons with a prosthetic leg, and they all had that same gait. Prosthetic limb is flat-footed, so you can't really walk on the ball of your foot. But every once in a while, his whole movement, every scene, he's got a prosthetic leg, and he kind of moves like it. Appreciated that. He didn't come off as a Superman in this one at all. So all along, it was pretty standard. You kind of saw that in the plot twist and all that stuff coming a mile away. My problem with this film is I fully understand what Steven Spielberg was talking about. The placement in this was ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen that many who's who Chinese actors. I mean, it was like,
this is not an American movie.
Chick who was the villain. I mean, she pops up, and the minute I saw it pop up, oh god, she's gonna have 30 different scenes that had nothing to do with anything in the plot. It's just close-up shots of her. And sure enough, every shot with her is a close-up of her turned up face. She's doing something ridiculous. Doing headshots from everybody, from moving vehicles and stuff. What is this mess? Shots of like products. It was product placement shot after product placement shot. Buildings and businesses. I mean, this basically was come to Hong Kong. This is China. The bad, evil Europeans have once again destroyed something beautiful of China. And it's a guy who's friendly to China because his wife speaks fluent Cantonese, and there's a family who is friendly to China and embraces the Chinese culture, is going to save the day with the help of the Chinese hero. It was so fucking blatant. After the whole thing, and every time that girl popped up, Jesus, this is terrible. It's bad. The movie was designed specifically to sell tickets in China.
Agreed. This is not an American movie.
Not even close. This is a movie made for a Hong Kong audience. I mean, Jackie Chan said it. Gave an interview a few years ago. Hope and wish was that they would be the ones making the big budget movies and stuff. So basically what they're doing now is financing all these movies.
Yep. You will see those companies at the beginning of the movie. It's like, well, what movie company is that? Like Wawa Media? Okay, whatever.
I don't want to say it's horrible, but they're basically taking over the cinema.
Well, Keith, let me cut you off for a second.
This is how bad it was.
This is just like that Great Wall movie.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's close enough. Overly blatant with it because the center point of the whole movie, more along the lines of Pacific Rim Uprising, the second movie.
We'll go to Matt. So, Matt, what did you think of Skyscraper, Die Hard with Smackdown?
Popcorn movie at its best. It's one of those movies, if there's any movie that The Rock took his money and ran, it's this one. Everything was bad, in my opinion. Action was bad, no depth of character. Some of the characters are like, they had what skill? Is this spoiler free?
The movie's stupid, Matt, so go ahead and spoil the movie.
Like his wife, the combat surgeon. There's no such thing as combat surgeon.
She had like a couple of action scenes. I'm like, oh, she's getting down.
Nev Campbell, that's who I want to marry. The surgeon who's deployed 5 times and can fight an assassin in the back of a vehicle and whoop her ass and can handle a knife no problem against someone in a gun.
Basically,
in a gunfight?
She took down 2 bad guys by herself.
It's just everything about it was bad. It was like Die Hard. It was a Die Hard movie.
Yeah, but Die Hard was good, though.
Yeah. And from what I've been told, this is a $125 million movie. And it'll probably make all that money back based off overseas sales. Because I think this movie was made for overseas folks who don't have enough exposure to The Rock.
Yep.
And then what's going to end up happening is that they'll probably make a sequel. Because overseas is where all the money's going to come from. Because I'm going to tell you this, my movie theater was empty.
The main guy that built the building was like, "We will rebuild." That was his one line, his last line in the movie. He was like, "We will rebuild." Yes.
I think they'll do the sequel just for China. They'll just cut out the U.S. middleman.
I think so too. I didn't get any particular sense of enjoyment. I would have rather seen this as a summary on YouTube, not on Fox, not on TBS. That's what I would have liked to see.
Matt, let me cut you off. So 45 minutes of story in this movie, and the rest of it is just unnecessary placement of the location of where they are. There's just people standing on the street looking at a jumbotron of what The Rock is doing. Why is this happening? So the whole arc of the movie is off because once they establish that, hey, The Rock is the security guy for the building, his partner just automatically turns on him and tries to kill him.
Yeah.
So this is 10 minutes into the movie that they've already established that something bad is about to happen, and then it just turns into Die Hard. We have already seen Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free and Die Hard, and this is just The Rock version of Die Hard. Throw a twist that he has a disability, but other than that, there's just no point for this movie. This movie is not an American movie. This movie is an overseas movie that should just go straight to DVD. This should have been straight to Netflix. And I just tuned out most of this movie. So I understand all the big plot points, but it's all over some bank accounts owner of the building was using as leverage against a partner. That's the whole purpose of it.
No. It's a little more intricately woven into that. The big plot point was that the Chinese billionaire, let me back up. The Chinese tech billionaire genius, super genius, who basically he's Tony Stark. In order to build his dream, he takes on a partner who turns out to be part of a conglomerate of international criminals. They tell him that they'll stop him from building his building for China. He decides to go ahead and pay them off, but he secretly inputs special code into the transaction so that every time they wire the money around, it traced all the money being wired. Through these transactions, he was able to glean the infrastructure of this evil super criminals. That was a big plot. If you look closely at the screen, it was all European and Japanese names. Oh, it was so terribly blatant. It was terrible.
So, no, we're going to have to stop because this movie is getting a podcast longer than what it needs. So, Keith.
No, you're right.
What score would you give Skyscraper and The Rock Says?
The only thing that you want to watch, the only thing you want to watch this for is to watch The Rock's performance and some of his action stunts. It's the only reason to watch it. Special effects were shitty, weren't that good. Rock, like I said, was pretty good. He actually put a little effort into his role a little bit. The fact that I actually felt sympathetic to the current political climate that kind of engendered from this movie, that gives it an inch negative. It just lost like 6 points. So I'll give this movie a 3. I would not recommend it aside from seeing The Rock's performance, and that's about it.
All right, Matt.
I'd give this movie a 4. The action scenes were there. They weren't believable. I think the movie failed to capture on Rock's charisma, but that might not have been the writing or the role for it. This is Die Hard 2018 without character development. Villain was very whack, very generic, and didn't really have an input, in my opinion anyway. So give it a 4. I like The Rock, support The Rock, just not this movie.
All right, so I'm going to give this a 3. If you really think about this movie, the line delivery was just phrases. Everyone just has phrases that they need to say, aside from when it needs to go into another language. Just the absurdity that this movie was made. Because at first, when I saw this, I think I might have saw this during the Super Bowl. I thought this was a Super Bowl commercial. It's like, oh, The Rock's doing something silly? Oh, this is a Pepsi commercial? No, this is a real actual movie that people starred in. And it's completely sad, and that's the Beast Game Podcast. And The Rock does mean that's the Beast Game Podcast.